In the beginning of the 6th generation of game consoles, one game rose to the top and paved the road for big franchises in the years to come: Grand Theft Auto 3. Today we won't be discussing that game or why it's so dang good. Instead, we're going to look at a game and its sequel that perfectly encapsulate the changes to the industry that GTA caused. Of course, I'm talking about Jak and Daxter and Jak 2. Welcome to PS2 Versus, where we pit two games against each other to see which one wins out. In future videos, I don't plan on having the games be so similar, because that would make for a boring video. But these two games show off the effect that Grand Theft Auto had on the industry, and it's worth taking a look at their differences. The previous generation saw the rise of 3D platformers, and more specifically collectathons, with games like Mario, Banjo-Kazooie, and Spyro. Naughty Dog, the makers of Crash Bandicoot, created a new IP that moved them away from the linearity and lack of story development that was prevalent in their hit game. A new game engine ensured that Jak and Daxter would be devoid of loading screens, resulting in a seamless world that, when combined with non-linear gameplay, would be very immersive. The world of Jak and Daxter is one brimming with various forms of energy called Eco, which are in turn controlled by these old Eco-masters called Sages. This world is also saturated with the artifacts and ruins of an ancient yet advanced civilization called the Precursors, whose control over Eco is so great that they are revered as deities. Mix these two elements together and you get a world like no other, where anything is possible. This is a world you want to explore, a world where you can have an adventure, and seeing where this trilogy leads, epic adventures shall be had. Jak is a mute boy, and Daxter does more than enough talking for both of them. After the duo journey to the forbidden Misty Island, Daxter falls into a pit of dark eco and transforms into an Ottsel, an otter/weasel hybrid. Their father figure, the Sage of Green Eco, suggests they see the Sage of Dark Eco, who could possibly cure Daxter. I don't know why you'd want to cure him, since he's much cuter as an Ottsel, and he fits perfectly on Jak's shoulder. Regardless, the Dark Eco Sage lives on the other side of the world, and in order to get there, you're going to need ancient precursor power cells, which will be used to clear various roadblocks. This is the perfect setup for a collectathon. You have a central goal that you want to work towards, obstacles that break up the hub world in a way that feels natural, and things to collect that give you a way to see what this exciting world has to offer. There are 3 collectibles you need to keep track of, and in the end, they all fulfill the same purpose. Power cells are the main thing you need to find, and you complete objectives and do favors for NPCs to get them. Precursor orbs are strewn about everywhere and are good at leading you down certain paths, and they can be used to buy power cells. The last collectibles are scout flies, of which there are 7 in each and every area of the game. Find all 7 and you get another power cell. Everything is focused on the central goal: find power cells to get to the next area of the game to help our buddy. It's nowhere near revolutionary, and that's kind of the point about this game. Jak and Daxter is supposed to be a solid representative of 3D platformers on a new console generation, and that comes at the cost of trying new concepts that could potentially fail and drag the game down. What Jak and Daxter does, it does really well. The platforming is very rewarding thanks to tight controls, fluid animations, and intuitive level design. The tutorial level teaches you everything you need to know about the collectibles and how Eco works, as well as the different kinds of jumps and when to use them. Jak and Daxter's action is simple yet effective, with enemies that die in 1 or 2 hits and an easy-to-learn moveset. It's accessible for players that are new to the genre, and veterans will appreciate the open levels and satisfying difficulty curve. Eco plays a large role in your exploration efforts. Much like the hats in Mario 64, they offer you temporary power-ups. Blue Eco makes you fast, magnetizes orbs and flies to you, and lets you activate precursor technology. Red Eco makes you hit harder, Yellow Eco gives you a projectile, Green Eco heals you, and Dark Eco kills you. These play central roles in a lot of the objectives you complete, whether it's using the extra speed from Blue Eco to race to a door in time, or if it's using Yellow Eco to blast bosses. With laid-back, groovy beats and wonderfully colorful visuals, the world of Jak and Daxter is lively and charming. It's a lot of fun to explore, the gameplay has an addictive flow from area to area, and the straightforward light story makes this game a masterpiece. But how is this relevant to what I discussed at the beginning of the video? Well, Jak and Daxter perfectly represents what the 3D platformers that dominated the previous generation were all about. And to show the effect that Grand Theft Auto had on the industry, we should look at what changed for the sequel. Grand Theft Auto 3 came out 2 months before Jak and Daxter, which means that Jak 2 was being developed as GTA soared in popularity. As a result of GTA's success, kids and teens gravitated towards more mature games. They wanted excitement, edginess, and carnage, things that these charming platformers lacked. Jak and Daxter was successful by all means, but in order to keep up with the emerging demand for grittier content, the spirit of the game would have to change. Instead of turning out like a proper sequel, where Jak 2 would have built upon central mechanics and tried new ideas to push Jak and Daxter to the next level, it instead added car stealing, guns, violence, a darker atmosphere, and a more serious story with a healthy amount of comic relief. Jak and Daxter's secret ending is completely open and serves as a jumping off point for a story that can go anywhere. It turns out that this bright light everyone is staring into is actually a giant precursor artifact. Jak and his friends take it back to their home, where upon activation, hundreds of flying beasts pour into the world, accompanied by Dark Eco. Then a larger beast comes through, and the game flies into the portal to escape. In under a minute, this intro shows you the differences in tone between Jak 1 and Jak 2. This big, bright, and colorful world? Forget it. We are going to Haven City, a totalitarian metropolis that's been fighting against the metalheads, these guys, for centuries. Whereas the world of Jak and Daxter is mystical and ancient, Haven City's atmosphere is modern, oppressive, and dismal. Guards patrol every part of the city, and the Baron's propaganda fills the air at every corner. People mill about with little to look forward to in life, and when these factors combine with the impressive soundtrack, the city feels alive and real, but its future is bleak. This all works wonders for the game's open world exploration. You want to explore Haven City not because it's a magical place, but because it has a lot of character and nuance to it. You go to some areas and you might see clusters of metalhead eggs, reminding you that even though the city is safe, a disaster could strike at any moment. There's the dilapidated old city, which crumbles to dust as you walk around it, as well as Haven City's underground areas, which seem to be as expansive as the city above. You return to these areas multiple times throughout the game, but each time you access different parts of the level that were always just out of reach. Haven City is intriguing and houses a multitude of likable characters whose backgrounds are far from clean. It's a prime location for a serious story. Jak and Daxter's story works for the genre, but not much happens with it, as the open approach to the gameplay means having long stretches of time in between plot development. Jak 2's mission-based approach to the game allows it to have a more linear and involved story. Characters have more complex interactions, ulterior motives, and secret identities, and the story can delve into more mature themes and has multiple shocking plot twists. When Jak and Daxter first arrive in the city, the guards arrest Jak and send him to prison, though he hasn't done anything wrong. Haven City's dictator, Baron Praxis, uses Dark Eco to experiment on Jak, hoping to create powerful warriors to fight off the metalheads. Daxter rescues him after 2 years of torture, and Jak sets out on a quest for revenge. Jak, once a cute, quiet boy, is now a couple years older, is angry, and talks. Back then, all he wanted was to cure Daxter, but now he wants revenge and isn't afraid to seek help from crime lords and resistance fighters. And if Jak is gonna kill the Baron, he's gonna need some firepower. In Haven City, technology has come a long way, and the city decided that the best way to harness the power of Eco is through guns. Jak gets 4 guns in a game, with each gun based on a different form of Eco. There's the red gun, which has short, powerful blasts like a shotgun, and the yellow gun, which shoots farther and is accurate. The blue gun is fast, and the purple gun kills people. I believe that the guns are the best addition to Jak 2, since guns add variety to combat and allow for different types of foes. In the first game, you were limited to punching, spin kicks, uppercuts, and dives to attack, and this meant that the most that could be done with enemies was change their weak points. Most enemies can just get punched in the face and that would be good enough. Combat had to be simple since you didn't have a reliable ranged attack. Jak 2 has a bunch of enemies. They come in all shapes and sizes and make use of their own technology to aid in their assault. The guards can zap you and can chase you down in their vehicles, and later on they have robot guards and stronger ships. Metalheads come in a diverse array of species, with some acting more beast-like and others seeming more humanoid. Some metalheads have guns and shields, and special metalheads can turn invisible. Now that you have multiple reliable ranged attacks, the game can throw lots of enemies your way and you can wipe them out no problem. The action plays out like a third-person shooter, however there is a time when punching dudes is the optimal strategy. Because of the Baron's experiments, Jak now has a powerful Dark Eco transformation. Dark Jak's attacks are rabid and vicious, showing how little control Jak has, and when the precursors teach him new powers, they're nothing short of devastating. You can't rely on Dark Jak too often, as getting enough Dark Eco takes time, so he works well as a last-ditch effort to save yourself or as a good way to clear a room full of enemies you just don't want to deal with. Despite the larger focus on action in Jak 2, there is still a generous amount of platforming. The jumping, rolling, and swinging mechanics are unchanged, but this time you have a new gadget, the jetboard. You get this item in the middle of the game and it gives you better ground mobility and you can use it to grind on rails. This offers a new type of platforming that sets the game apart from its predecessor, as a lot of missions will be jetboard based. Not all of these missions will be good, which is what happens with new ideas, but I like most of them as a new form of precision platforming. Some new additions, like the guns and the jetboard, are good, but a lot of the other new stuff is not. Throughout the course of the story, Jak will have to do all kinds of things, like collect a bunch of objects, explore some cool areas, race, kill some dudes, infiltrate the Baron's fortresses, smash around in the Titan suit, help out the resistance effort, escort people around, and shoot things in a turret. Whereas Jak and Daxter was more about consistency, Jak 2 introduces a lot of new mission types, and a good handful of them suck. Before we get into those, let's ask ourselves, when is Jak 2 good? Well, it's good whenever you're doing things that you would have done in Jak and Daxter, and that should be expected because of the combat improvements and the addition of the jetboard. The best areas in the game are the Mountain Temple and the Tomb of Mar, and they are the closest Jak 2 comes to replicating the first game. They feature non-linear progression, puzzle solving, difficult enemies and bosses, and neat platforming segments. Jak 2 is at its best when it acts like a proper sequel by bringing new and improved mechanics to the old game structure. Jak 2 is at its worst when it deviates from that structure and makes you do things that are unrelated to the rest of the game, like racing. There's a good amount of driving in Jak 2, as Haven City is large and the best way to travel is on a zoomer. Driving around in a zoomer is fun because the vehicles handle well, you can switch between two elevations to dodge other drivers, and the areas are nice and open. The racing is the exact opposite. The vehicles are floaty, the tracks are narrow, you can kill yourself very easily, the other drivers have crazy rubber banding, and you have to win 3 different races throughout the game. It's totally unlike the many driving missions, and if they wanted to incorporate racing into Jak 2, they should have based it around the zoomers that you already spend a lot of time with, and not these things. The Titan suit is meant to be another method of exploration, where you get to smash through some breakable walls to enter new parts of old levels, but it's executed poorly. The suit controls like a tank and has no ranged attack, which means enemies get to shoot you in the face and you have no way to dodge or fight back until you slowly walk over and punch them. The Titan suit could have worked out better if it was focused on puzzles and simple melee combat, which is how the third game handles it. But in Jak 2, the enemy encounters don't work with the suit's capabilities, and platforming with this kind of mobility is frustrating. There are also escort missions, which are tedious but doable. Sometimes you're rescuing lurkers and taking them to drop-off points, and sometimes you have to protect an NPC as they move from point to point. At least these missions are consistent with the rest of the game. You don't have to learn any new controls or mechanics, unlike with the turret sections, where you have limited vision and enemies can come at you from any angle. Honestly, I would rather fight the Thugs for Less boss from Ratchet 2. You could make the case that new mission types can break up the pacing of the game and add variety, but I won't buy that argument unless the additions are good. In Jak 2, they're not good, they're not relevant to the rest of the game, and they create frustrating difficulty spikes. Sure, there are a couple bad gameplay segments in Jak and Daxter, specifically the fishing and rat shooting minigames, but since you don't need every power cell to beat the game, these are optional. In the first game, you could skip entire levels and turn out fine. The unsavory parts of Jak 2 weigh the game down for me and prevent me from saying that it's the better game. Jak and Daxter provides a consistently good and fun experience, and whilst Jak 2 does make improvements to the core mechanics of the first game, it's bogged down by the new mission types that don't make use of those improvements. Both are worth playing, and I say you should play them, because not only are they good games, they also reflect an important moment in gaming history. GTA's success transformed Jak and Daxter, which epitomized what 5th Gen collectathons had to offer with its charming world and cartoonish presentation, into Jak 2, with its mature story, violent action, and more dismal tone. Play them both and appreciate the differences, because by appreciating those differences, you're also paying respect to a very important game, whose greatness shall be discussed another time.